What's up, pretty gang? It's your favorite nail tech Peaches, back with another video. And I know I have shown you guys how to ombre a million bajillion times, but I'm going to show you how to ombre with darker colors, because let me tell you, it does take longer and it is a task no matter how good you are. Okay, so before we get into it, make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel, notifications on, follow my Instagram. You guys also join my broadcast channel. It's like behind the scenes of what's going on my day-to-day. Okay, I'll leave that link below. Of course, we got coupon codes in the description if you want to save money, my Amazon storefront, and follow my personal page if you want to keep up with me outside of work. Boom. So, okay, I'm leaving these clips in because I do want to show you guys a little bit how I organize and set up when it comes to using multiple colors. These are the colors that we're using. This double fudge is from the chocolate bar collection. Y'all already know, if it's not pause, not nothing. So when you're using a mixture of darker and lighter colors or bright and pastels, you need to make sure whatever is the more dominant color, put it in the front, because if you put it in the back and you grab a bead and it's gonna drag into the powder like in the front, you're gonna get beads that are like inconsistently mixed, if that makes sense. You know, it's much easier if the lighter powder accidentally gets into the darker powder, you won't notice. So here we go. When it comes to the base, you guys already know I personally like to lay my beads up a little bit, like where the tip and the natural nail meet. I'll blend it up and then I will go ahead and bring the rest down. I like this bead to be pretty solid in nature because, again, even though we're doing ombre and yes, we have to cap, it is much better to build the majority of your strength out of the colors and just cap, so that way you don't file through what you've already built. So again, just to show you guys, we don't need a huge bead because, again, we don't also want to get ourselves into a mess that if we do have trouble blending and we need a little extra acrylic, we're going to end up with something too thick. And that's something I'm actually going to talk to you guys about today. So as you guys can see, blend it up. You don't want to just lay it there any old type of way. If you do not blend it up, you will have a harder time blending down with the next color. All right, just throwing that out there. So as you guys can see, my brush is not too wet while I'm actually moving the bead down. I'm only wetting it as I need to. If you move too wet, then you will have a chance at kind of ruining some of the opacity. We want to bring our beads down as one solid mass, if you can see, and we'll just go ahead and use our brush to direct where we need everything to go. But we want to always make sure we have consistency from nail to nail. Of course, we're going to keep with the shape, because if you are already having problems at this point keeping the shape, listen, you're gonna have a really hard time later on filing, shaping, all of that. Okay, so let's keep it right and tight, right and tight. So we're gonna clean our brush thoroughly, right, because we don't want any dark in this part. Now we're gonna go ahead with the next color. Now this color by itself is like not a darker nude, but it's not as pale as it looks against the brown. So what this means is, now that this color is mixing with the brown and we're going to have to blend it down, we are more than likely going to have to use a method I call back and forth. Okay, because as you can see, normally when I ombre, right, I can kind of like get the ombre done in about a bead and maybe a little bit extra. But here in this case, when we are using colors that are very contrasting, it's gonna take a little extra work, and let me show you how to do it. So our first bead, you guys already know I like to go ahead and start building my apex, because as I mentioned, I don't want to have to go in and cap with too much clear. We're going to start blending down, and we're going to take our second bead that's a little bit more watery than the first, and we're going to start furthering that blend. Now with ombre, you want to keep in mind, it's not exactly 50-50. If you really look, you need one color to be a little bit more dominant than the other. In this case, our brown is going to pop out more, and we're using our nude to blend, but somewhere in that middle ground, you do have kind of sort of like a new color where things blend, and that's what you want to keep in mind. So while that first one is going, right, it's drying, it looks like damn P. That blend is not blending. I'm going to show you exactly what we need to do. So again, our first bead is going to lay down our foundation. If you like to build your apex at this point, this is what I use mine's for. Go ahead and do that. And the way you do that is just kind of let the bead set and rest, which means let it polymerize, which means we're letting it basically stiffen up. And then we're just blending the edges around it. So we're tucking the cuticles in, and we're just blending down where the nail tip and the previous acrylic are. And then as you can see, we have an apex that's pretty much made around that. Okay, now if you don't like to make your apex at this point, you can also do it later on the tail end of blending, or you can do it straight up with clear. I feel like the less clear we use, the better our blend kind of looks, like less bubbles and things like that. So again, at the very edge of where the nude has started, or I guess ending, we're going to take another bead and blend it down. Now it looks like, this ain't making no difference. It's not. Now let me tell you why it will, okay? So although right now it looks trash, don't get stressed, because that's going to cause you to make mistakes. It's going to cause you to freak out. Internally, you're going to be thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's not blending. But you guys, some colors are just harder to blend than others. So what I do now that it's drying, right, in that same exact spot, I take some of the darker color and I blend it up. What we're doing is starting to create that area of that quote unquote new color people like to refer to, right? So we're basically starting, what I think of it in my head, we're blurring the line, okay? So there's no demarcation. Now, you need to wait a little bit, like I said, for this to dry down, which is why I call this the back and forth. We're going to go down again with a little bit of nude, and we're going to let that dry down, and we're going to do the same exact thing with the next finger. So rather than what we're used to in going in and like, okay, boom, 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 all 5 nails, the ombre is done, we're kind of going to have to go back and forth between nails. So it's like, take 2 steps forward, take 1 step back. Now we're taking another step forward, starting a new nail, and then you're going to see me take another step back and visit one of the older nails. This allows the acrylic to be less slippery, because as we know, with the process of polymerization, if you're not used to that word, you should get used to it on my channel. If you're new, you guys know that I'm a licensed nail tech. I went to school, so sometimes I do use the actual vocabulary, just so you guys can kind of understand where I'm coming from at the base of like what this is, because this is all chemicals, right? So when things polymerize and they tend to harden up and they have the chemical reaction that creates the heat needed to basically dry the acrylic and make what we know as the acrylic, the powder and liquid comes together, makes the acrylic itself, right? It's making sure that everything doesn't stay slippery, because if something is not hardened up and it has not started the process of polymerization, you're going to have a hard time, and every time you lay liquid down, it's basically going to reactivate what was already there. So as you can see, now that it's dried down some, and I'm going back again and adding that brown, all we're focusing on, like what is wet, is that new layer that we're laying down. So you can see I blended up, which I kind of refer to as like a reverse ombre, and now I'm ready to lay my clear down, which you can see, because we've gone back and forth so many times, this has become way thicker than what it might normally be when we ombre. So therefore I'm using way less clear acrylic, and I'm basically only using what's needed to even anything out as well as cover the blend. If you find that your nails have become thick when you do ombres, because I used to have this problem, it would become really thick in the middle, and now I'm stuck because I'm like, well, filing and shaping has become hard because I have this thickness in the middle, but I can't file that away too much because that's where my blend is at, right? If you find yourself where you've created a lot of thickness with the acrylic, you are going to compensate by not using as much clear. I know a lot of people say that colored acrylic has no strength, blah blah blah. You guys, that is not true. The only time that I cap color is when I am doing designs that call for that, okay? If you're using a decent brand and they have enough strength, or if they use enough clear in their colors, which I don't know, Not Polish's formula, but I firmly believe that they have a good amount of clear in their pigmented acrylic, where it's like clear mixed with pigment rather than a white base mixed with acrylic, mixed with color, if that makes sense. It will be fine. So again, now that we've capped that one, we're still not ready to go with the other. So now we've come to another session of going back and forth, and it's really just to where you are comfortable visually with what's going on. We all should know the magic of clear acrylic, that once you cap, for some reason your ombre looks way better. So if you find that it's still not all the way there, honestly, at a certain point, cap it anyways, and it might be fine, okay? So what we also are going to have to watch out for is our colors mixing, like on our brush. For example, you might see me be very carefully like blotting my brush before I go back to the nude color, or the lighter, quote unquote lighter nude color, because once we like kind of brush that brown up and we go back to the nude and bring that down, right, to blur the line, as I like to call it, it's going to cause the two colors to kind of interact, and we don't want to accidentally stain the lighter color nude, okay? So here again, I feel like, okay, I'm happy. And typically what I'll know I'm happy is when I feel happy enough to go ahead and cap. It's because the two nails closest to each other seem very nice and even looking, and then the next nail, so you see what I'm saying, like I'm taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but the nail that's about to be done is pretty much close to what I'm happy with, and then I'll start the one after that. So it's honestly, I don't want to say a guessing game, it is a formula, but you have to be comfortable with, do not panic and do not get so scared when things don't look right away. When I was first starting, I would tell people like, hey, okay, not first starting, because I would tell them like, hey, boo, I'm first starting, I'm gonna be honest. LOL, apologies if it doesn't look all that great. But once I started getting in the hang where, hey, I'm good at ombre, but now, hey, these crazy colors are a little harder, I would sometimes tell people, and to ease the pressure off myself, like, hey, boo, this might look a little ghetto right now. Like, I am good at ombres, but these are difficult colors, so, you know, the end result will be cool. And it's a learning process, and over time, you'll get it. Sometimes colors might look better than others, and I let people know, hey, boo, you've just chosen 2 colors that honestly, the blendedness of this is not going to be as high as it could be, and if they choose to proceed, then hey, they know, and if not, I'll recommend better colors. Okay, so here we go, filing and shaping. You guys know I have been waiting to put out my review of the not polished Luxe nail drill until it's been a month of using it, which it has actually officially been a month of using it. I checked on my Instagram and when I actually like posted it and stuff like that, so that will be coming soon, very soon, like probably like this, like before Thanksgiving. Okay, so basically, because of how we built everything and how we capped everything, our end result of application doesn't look as horrible as we might feel. Now looking at it subjectively like this, in the moment I was like, ooh, girl, these is thick, I can't wait to file. But now looking at it like this, it's like, it really was not that bad, but you might feel like it is. So because how we set it up, right, we didn't add a huge layer of clear acrylic over the whole entire nail because it was not necessary. In nails, it's like order operations, okay, like PEMDAS, like when you was doing algebra and shit like that in school. We only do what's necessary, we follow the steps, and we don't want to cut the corners we don't need to. Okay, meaning that yes, it's okay not to use a whole bunch of clear acrylic, but only in the instance that everything else underneath that clear has enough substance to it. Okay, so you guys know 8080 grit files, I do have some on my Amazon, but just keep in mind I get mine straight from the nail supply, which means my 8080 grit is real ass 8080 grit, right? And you guys can see, with my finished filing and stuff, I do around the cuticles and all that finer details first to debulk, so that way when I go ahead and hand file, and you guys know I like to hand file over top of the nail, this takes away any lumps and bumps. I've always done this. I used to be a hand filer when I first started because I didn't have no money for a nail drill. Okay, so some of the habits you guys see is because I had to figure it out, and actually I feel like it helps tremendously. So we're gonna go ahead and file, and that's pretty much, I'm sorry guys, who's playing something in the background. That's pretty much it. The flowers on top I'll be doing in a separate video because I didn't want this to be too long, and I really wanted to focus on having a video dedicated to doing ombres with dark or contrasting colors. I'm hoping you guys enjoyed this video. This is the final look. Of course, like I said, flowers will be coming on a different day. You guys, of course, I appreciate you guys for watching. Join my broadcast channel, and as normal, I will see you guys in the next video.